Hi, for this lesson, we're going to move on. We're going to start a new theme. So for this lesson, you're going to need your red Theme 1 booklet. Keep your Theme 0 booklet safe. We'll collect them when I see you next. Okay, let's go. Theme 1 is all about some of the basic ideas of geology. Getting stuck into some of the big ideas that really drive the rest of the subject on. So we need to look at some geological materials, and we need to look at some of the ways in which they form, and to think about how we can actually work out uh, what the Earth was like in the past. So we've got some really important stuff to get through within this. But of course, when we start any theme, we always need to start with a few words. So if you turn to the inside of the back cover of your booklet, and it's time to have a go at what's in a word. There are 7 key geological terms here. We need to know what these mean. We need to work these out by the end of this theme. Some of these words you'll have heard of before. Others, like this one, almost certainly not. But what I'd like you to do is write down what you think at the moment is the meaning of each of these words. Have a go at that now. Okay then. We need to try and get to grips with some different geological materials. So I'm going to give you like a set of specimens, a set of geological materials. Now, normally we'd do this with a practical in class. For now, we'll have to make do with a video with my description of these terms. So in a moment, I'm going to show you a description of each of these specimens. What I'd like you to do is to think about how you might divide them up into groups. How many groups you'd put them into. Would you give those groups a name, perhaps about a feature that they have in common? Think about how you'd actually go about justifying that. Now, you might want to try and give some names to any of these, but I'm not worried about that at the moment. What I want you to focus on is how you can actually divide these materials up into different groups. And what I'd like you to do at the bottom of page 2 is draw a table to show how you'd split these up. Okay, watch this video and then have a go at that activity. This is a collection of different geological materials. What we need to do is we need to try and organise these. As geologists, we want to try and work out what the similarities between some of these materials are and what the differences are. Because it's that will show us perhaps more about these materials. It allows us to interpret the geological story behind each of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at these in turn and try and pick out some of the main features to help you try and organise these different materials. Think about some of the things I'm talking about in terms of the things they have in common. How can we put some of these together? This is specimen A. Now in specimen A, we can see that we have some of these rounded fragments of rock that seem to be stuck together to form another rock. So these pieces, these fragments, see how they've been rounded off, must be from a material that's older than the rock that we now find them in. This is specimen B. It has a cone shape. Seems to be a distinctive shape. They look like there's layers, perhaps, as this has grown. Running through the middle of this, though, we see a very regular pattern that almost looks like spokes on a bicycle wheel. Specimen E, then, is a dark coloured material. It has these tubes, these lighter coloured tubes running through it. When we see them from the side, we see they're sort of very elongated. When we see them from the top, they're quite circular. You may just be able to see that there's a pattern, a radial spoke-like pattern inside these. Specimen H is a very hard rock made of crystals. You might be able to see the shiny surface of the crystals. There seems to be a structure running through it, an alignment of those crystals, creating bands of different coloured minerals within this. Specimen J is the same all the way through. Specimen J is this black, shiny material. It's quite flaky. Bits of this will flake off. It's quite reflective of light. But it has the same structure and there's the same material all the way through. Specimen M is this yellow gold colour material. It looks the same all the way through. There's some very distinctive crystals of this material running right through the specimen. It feels quite dense. But it's fairly uniform all the way through. Specimen P has 2, perhaps 3 different materials within it. We see crystals, quite large crystals of these materials running through this specimen. It looks like a black mineral, a white coloured mineral, and hints of a green mineral within specimen P as well. These crystals all seem to interlock with each other. There don't appear to be any gaps between these crystals, nor is there any alignment or arrangement of those crystals. They appear to be fairly random. Specimen U is a thin, hard sheet of material. There's a spot of this pale green colour. We can't see any fragments or crystals within this rock, but there does appear to be an alignment within the rock. So it creates these bands of material within it. This rock is quite brittle, but does feel quite hard. Specimen V is quite dark in colour. The grains within the rock are quite small. We can see this shiny material at the surface. It's creating a regular form on this rock. There appear to be some rough layers within the rock. Specimen W has several different materials within it. A grey, almost colourless material, very obvious pink material, and a small amount of a white material. We can see crystals within the rock. Those crystals all seem to fit together. There are no gaps within this rock. It's a very hard, strong material. And finally, specimen Z. Specimen Z is also made of crystals. You can see the faces reflecting the light. Those crystals all lock together. And there are crystals of at least two materials in here. A black material and a white material. There may be just a hint of green in here as well. So those are the materials that we need to try and organise. How could you group some of these together? How can you tell them apart? What do you think they might be? Have a go at that now.